I'm Scott Cool. I'm a third generation Remington employee, originally from the Mohawk Valley in the Ilion facility, and have transferred here to the Huntsville facility in 2014. Remington was in my blood before I was even born. My father and grandfather were tough. They were a no-nonsense type of guy. My grandfather started after World War II in 1947. There was various positions that my grandfather held that were labor positions, but when he ended up on the wood job, he found a forte there. And he retired in 1983 with 35 years. My father started in 1962. He was drafted to Vietnam and of course came back. He retired in 2002 on his 40th anniversary date. And then of course I started in 95. And here I am today, and I'm coming up on my 22nd year. I was very fortunate enough that I was accessed a number of times throughout the facility, and in one particular time, I had an opportunity just by chance that my dad and I literally had the same job and sat right next to each other every single day building 700 fire controls. It was an honor to me because back in the day, you couldn't get to the upper floors unless you had seniority. So you didn't even think of getting to the fourth floor unless you had 25 years. You didn't think of getting to the third floor unless you had 10 years. So I had an opportunity to move around that facility through excess. So, at the time with my dad having 30 years, and here's me with basically 30 days, sat right next to my dad in something that, that he earned with time. My dad, he was a 700 trigger assembler, but for a long time he was also a 700 assembler. And my dad was always very good at what he did, at everything that he did. Periodically, I will have people come to me, even in Huntsville, they'll come and ask me, is Mel your dad? And the sense of pride, almost to a point where reduced to tears, that people still remember my dad, because these engineers in Elizabethtown will flat out tell me that my dad is one of the best 700 builders they had ever seen. My dad would have liked to have continued. Unfortunately, my dad succumbed to cancer in 2002. He was sick for quite a while. Again, when it comes into the pride, not necessarily with Remington in this case, was more pride within himself. He really struggled to work at the end. He really struggled. But his goal was to reach his 40th anniversary. And the day he reached that 40th anniversary was the day he left. That day he left, we walked out the door together and just stood in the parking lot and hugged and cried. Because we just knew that he was not going out willingly. He was going out because he just didn't have long left. He gave Remington every single bit of his being. He's going to go out on his own terms, and he did. And he passed that on to me. Our son has taken great interest in shooting, and he was interested in AR. And before it left the facility, they brought it over to the engraver, and on the lower, they wrote specially built for Quentin Cool and had the date on it. So that, to me, is my forefathers and me passing it on to the fourth generation. A lot of the pride definitely comes from my forefathers. It was instilled in me. I am very adamant that I carry that pride here to Huntsville. Huntsville is very exciting. Coming here, the opportunity is endless. I can tell you, coming to Huntsville, there are a few of us from Ilion that do orientation for new employees. So, a great lead-in for us is to explain to these employees, these new employees, where we come from. What is this company about? How long has this company been here? The tradition. 200 years. That's amazing in today's world. Remington's family. It always has been family. And to advance and to grow and to be a part of that American culture still, just being a part of it is an honor.